Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Q&A with the Crypto Twins.
Good morning, Jess. How are you?
I'm great. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. I remember the last time we did this, it was Bitcoin was just below 60K. We were like reminiscing on the crazy times when it was just above the all-time high.
When you had the glasses on and you had the velvet jacket.
I'm trying to manifest it again with that.
We're trying to bring it back.
Yeah.
I like the glasses. We've also got the Thor hammer.
The Thor hammer. This is because Jess is going to embrace her inner shield maiden, which is apparently a Nordic folklore. It's a female warrior.
Yeah.
And she'll be bringing in the new questions with this Thor's hammer.
Yeah. Next question, guys. Let's get it. But this was actually from the Crypto Bros podcast.
Yeah.
Plug that
How did you like that?
I thought it was excellent. I was actually sad that I was not in the office that day to witness it. Let me know your thoughts, guys, because I'm sure you've not watched it.
It was a lot more fun. If it looked good, think about that times 10, how fun it really was to do.
How long were you guys in the studio for actually just like riffing back and
like
forward?
An hour or so.
Oh, love it, guys.
Like a bit more, yeah. The funniest was I actually went out to go to the bathroom when I was dressed up in my whole gig, and I saw some guy who usually sees me like, what is going on here? He sees me in this whole get up with my vest and my stringer vest, and I'm like, oh, sorry, we're just doing a bit.
Happening, bro.
Yeah.
But let's just jump on in, because thank you so much to everyone that has submitted questions. As always, this has been quite a lot has happened in the last week, so there's a lot that we've broken down.
A lot to go down, yeah.
And also, this week you had your video of the Ethereum ETFs on the main channel too.
My debut, yeah.
Loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a bit intimidating at first, but I think that it's good to try and get it out there, and actually, flex those presenter muscles a little bit.
You've got to. And also for the bull market coming up, we need as many presenters on standby.
All hands on deck. We need to make it happen.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off with the first question, which is from Surya W1999, which is ETH ETF approved. What can we expect from ETH?
Yeah, so obviously this is will fall into, like it's covered in my video, a lot of it. And subsequent to that, some other information has come out. So I guess the question here relates to, firstly, when are we going to see the ETF trade? And I know you guys talked about this on the live stream as well. Yeah. And recently there was more news about it in the sense that Balkunas said it's probably going to be a June, so soon.
Yeah.
Eric Balkunas is obviously one of the Bloomberg ETF analysts. He said he's estimating potentially June as the optimistic time frame. And we got the news yesterday that the SEC says they want all of the S1s to eventually to come and be filed by today, Friday. And this potentially means that, maybe next week we could see some action in terms of listing, which would be a lot quicker than many were estimating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's in terms of when we can expect these ETFs to launch. But then there's also the question now in terms of what do we mean for ETH. Let's assume they start trading next week. S1s are filed, they get on the exchanges. What will demand be like? And I covered this in quite a lot of detail in that video. But the TLDR is that it's a mixed bag in terms of what we could see. Yeah. Because obviously there's a lot of excitement around, look, it's a big time for the industry because of the positive regulatory environment with FIT21, SAB 121, the fact that SEC has changed. Biden's even reaching out to crypto industry people, being like, can you, hey guys, I know, again, yeah, I know I spurned you, but like, come back into my tent, please. So the environment is a lot more positive now.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the question is, will there be demand still? And we've seen examples of this. You've got examples of ProShares, Ethereum ETF just didn't do well, right? And it still hasn't done well in terms of AUM compared to the Bitcoin ETF futures products. It's only like 4% of the Bitcoin AUM futures products. Yeah. We've also had the fact that CME interest in Ethereum futures hasn't been as high as Bitcoin's. And then JP Morgan just yesterday released a research note, and they said that this is going to be, it's going to be a disappointing release in terms of inflows.
Yeah.
And there's also the concern of the overhang of the Grayscale Ethereum product, right?
Yeah.
If they convert that, are they going to sell out of the Grayscale product and dump the ETH, as was the case with Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And if there's not a resulting demand on the other side to buy some of that ETH being unlocked, what is this going to mean for the price of ETH? So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I'm more inclined to say, my personal opinion, that it's definitely not going to be as big as the Bitcoin launch.
Yeah.
And I think that I hope that we have enough demand to match the selling pressure that could come from a Grayscale unwind. So yeah.
James Seyfarth was saying that he was expecting a 20 to 25% appetite from the spot Ethereum ETFs in ratio to the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We've seen net inflows of $13.76 billion according to SoSo Value.
Yeah.
So if it was to be 25% of that, it would be $3.44 billion, which I think is a little bit of an overshot when it comes to how much we could expect. A little bit of alpha for you guys. You heard it here first. So I thought, why not just reach out to some of the ETF issuers themselves? So yesterday, I dropped one of our Coin Bureau industry friends, Ryan Rasmussen, who has come on Coin Bureau Clips before. He's one of the research analysts at Bitwise. And he is, for those unfamiliar, Bitwise is a issuer of the spot Bitcoin ETFs and also the spot Ethereum ETFs. So I just shot Ryan a message and said, hey, what are you guys expecting for ETH appetite? This is a really exciting time. What is your outlook as a research analyst at Bitwise, one of the issuers? And here is what he said. He said that the success of the spot Bitcoin ETFs has been remarkable. We do anticipate a rise in demand for Ethereum from advisors and institutional investors, but it obviously won't reach the same levels as Bitcoin. Ethereum is smaller, lesser known asset than Bitcoin, so the market should really manage its expectations accordingly. The reality is that most financial advisors and institutional investors are still working up to get to speed on Bitcoin. For them, learning about Ethereum is a second step in their crypto journey. Because of that, we expect significantly less demand for the spot Ethereum ETFs. However, they're still in the business of gathering and managing assets. If the clients are asking about Ethereum, that'll translate into demand. So I think the significantly less expectations is the key takeaway to get from that.
Wow, so there you go, guys, right from the horse's mouth. That's great. And I think it's hit the nail on the head there, right? And it's interesting, he also points out the fact that it's basically the investment case. People are still getting used to the Bitcoin ETFs, right?
Yeah.
And even in it's Bitwise, so Matt, I think we talked about it a few times. So obviously Matt Hogan, who's the CEO over there, he said 2 months ago that he would prefer the ETFs, the ETH ETFs, to actually only launch in December because all these people are still getting used to the Bitcoin products.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a giant leap of faith for someone who's basically just onboarded or just managed to get everything done in terms of their internal documents, if they're an institution or if they're a retail investor, just getting their head wrapped around Bitcoin to all of a sudden think, okay, now I can jump into Ethereum, which is something that's also mentioned in the video. I think that it's, as an industry, and we in the ecosystem need to try and think about what's the best pitch for Ethereum as compared to Bitcoin. Because there's a few examples, people in the Discord server we've talked to it as well. Digital oil potentially, an immutable internet, an immutable decentralized internet that's powered by digital oil, which is ETH. Yeah. But then oil has a negative connotation sometimes because people think it's a dirty energy. So, I think that we need to get up to speed and get people, get the right pitch out there, because that's what we need to do to get to buy into it.
A one sentence elevator pitch. Just like we find it hard to read a white paper that's like 65 pages long. Yeah. If Satoshi can do it in 9, we'll read it in 9. We need to get a one sentence pitch for the institutions.
Cool. So next question. Question. We need to knock next. We need to draw. Ring in the new question with Thor's hammer. So this is from Joe Cellular 93. He's asking, are you guys still thinking we will have a cycle top around October 2025 or more like Q1 2025?
This is a good question. I think this is an interesting year because we have got an election in November, and I think that is going to definitely have some catalyst market movements attached to that. So that is all hands on deck, prepare for the unexpected. This year in general has been a year of surprises when we have seen market movements. I don't think anyone was expecting us to see all-time highs for Bitcoin before the halving has come up. I do think that the pump at the end of the year, we could see some market movements and some volatility, possibly to the upside. It depends on the outcome of the US elections straight after the elections. However, based on the larger zoom out, I think everyone is expecting summer 2025 to be the time that we do really see the peak of typically 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving. That's when you see the impact of that in price movements. And it feels like from a cycle top perspective, we're still such a long way away. I know this is a summer period right now, but it feels like we haven't yet got to a point where we are seeing new retail interest coming in the inflows that we are used to. When we look at, 2021 peak market cycle, the top app downloads were the likes of Coinbase and Binance. That's still quite a long way away. We've still got a lot of room left to run. So I think for me personally, like how I'm positioning myself for the next market cycle is I'm prepared to maybe take 20 to 30% of my portfolio off the table if there is a market rally in November, December time, but I will still keep around 75 to 80% in until Q2 of next year, depending on how the market is fed. So that's what I'm kind of looking out for as a gauge. And I think obviously there'll be like small little updates. So how the Fed moves as well is also going to be another key one to keep as an indicator.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with a lot of that. I think that, the election is a big one, right? Because everyone's now pricing in a potential change in policy in Washington because, Trump's going to win. But remember, it's still a very tight race. So if he loses, I don't think Biden's going to keep his, he may have done a quick 180 now. I don't know if that's necessarily going to remain. Yeah. So it could then be on the downside risk and that to come from a political perspective. In terms of the question, with the Q3, Q4 next year, that is historically correct in terms of previous halving cycles, the past 16 years, the 4-year halving cycle, the 4-year market cycle, 3 years of bull, 1 year of bear. I think that would, if we had the halving this year, then it's targeting Q3, Q4. However, the things may have changed, right? Because in the sense that one, we had price all-time high prior to halving. Yeah. Could this potentially have invalidated the concept of the 4-year cycle? The fact that now we've got ETFs, all the change in institutional interest, all the change in market dynamics, could that have changed and impacted on the way we look at the 4-year cycle? So then the question comes down to, and there's many other factors as well, but the question then comes down to, has the 4-year market cycle concept changed completely? Yeah. Could we, and I was actually speaking to Dan, our head of research on this, but there's two different arguments you can take in terms of it. One is that because things have changed completely, also because the halving has less of an impact every single 4 years because it's the decrease in change in the halving is minuscule. Do we get to a stage at which now it's just a long extended bull market that's going to go past Q4, Q5, prices are going to continue rise? Q4,
that would be delightful.
That would be delightful, obviously, right?
Delightful
and it's just like a super cycle, going to a super cycle, kind of like an extended cycle, like extension of the cycle theory. That's one, that's on the positive side. Yeah. But I actually, when I was doing a bit of research on this as well, there are opposite examples to that, which is, if someone did analysis on, for one, we've hit the all-time high before the halving, and then also the concept of looking at tech stocks looking at tech stocks and their halving and their 4-year cycle market cycles, right? And prior to for instance the .com bubble in 2000, a lot of these tech stocks followed a similar market cycle to Bitcoin, but after the bubble, right, the 2000 bubble, like these market, crypto went into stocks like Microsoft, for instance. Yeah. On an inflation-adjusted basis, it took 21 years for Microsoft to reach the level it reached prior to that. And so basically the concept is, could we potentially be running into a situation where Bitcoin is now becoming an adopted technology that everyone is using? Yeah. It's no longer a nascent technology like tech in industry and tech. The tech industry was before the 2000 bubble, the 1990s. Could we now, because it's becoming a more adopted technology, be leading to a market cycle which is going to be peak early? So we're going to have maybe early Q1, Q2 next year, and then have an extended bear market for much longer. So it's an interesting article. I'll link to it below for you guys to read as well. It was in Bitcoin Magazine last year. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I'm more inclined to think that things have changed. It's going to be more of an extended bull market, but it's an interesting read because it does try to make the comparison between this and the tech market cycle. Yeah. And it's important, especially you can't always be a permabull. You always have to, you got to try and take things into account, read other analysis and look at the opposite side to your argument to see if it makes sense. It's an interesting analysis, an interesting theory. I just think it's worth checking that out as well.
It's also a good point that we do kind of repeat that crypto is cyclical, but crypto tends to do the opposite of what everyone expects also. So if everyone is expecting a 4-year cycle, you've also got to be prepared for other variables that could come into play. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. But the big one obviously is the election. So we'll see what happens there.
I was trapped inside a cage made out of the daily grind.
I was so unfulfilled. I felt like a blank sheet of A4 paper.
Something was missing from my life, but I didn't know what.
But then I found what I'd been missing.
The Coin Bureau deals page was the answer to my prayers.
It had everything I needed to make me complete.
Exchange sign-up bonuses of up to $60,000.
The biggest discounts on the best hardware wallets.
Trading fee discounts of up to 60% on the best crypto exchanges.
Exclusive altcoin alpha.
Thank you, Coin Bureau, for bringing me back to life.
Next question. Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
This makes our job. Maybe we should do it on the cushion.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay. Shahram Disbali, what alt would you go all in after ETH ETF approval?
Yeah. So first of all, I would never go, you don't go all in on an alt. I mean, I appreciate the commitment, but yeah, obviously that's very risky. So no, don't go all in with your entire portfolio.
Not even injective?
Not even injective. Sorry, there's no alt I would go all into. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of general diversification. I don't think too much diversification is a good thing, but I think that also being too concentrated is so much risk because you're betting your farm and everything on that. This question is also interesting because it could be interpreted in two ways. One is, are there ETH beta plays that will rally because ETH is approved and is positive for the Ethereum ecosystem?
Yeah.
And the other is, are there other alts, alt ones that are going to rally because of the optimism around potentially them getting an ETF? So, I mean, for answering the first part of that question, I think in terms of ETH beta plays, projects, and a lot of these have already rallied, but projects in the Ethereum ecosystem that could have a lot of potential if there's a lot of demand and there's more excitement and interest in the Ethereum ecosystem in general. It's the likes of obviously Lido, liquid staking. People are going to want to liquid stake. They're going to want to utilize the protocol, especially if they want to get yield and invest and not have to lock up to a validator. You've got ENA, which is also rated a lot. This is obviously the issue. It's the Athena, the issue of USDE.
Yeah.
If there's increased demand for Ethereum, trading Ethereum is going to lead to higher per funding rates, which is obviously lead to higher yields and more demand for Athena, more printing of USDE, and then obviously positive for ENA. And Ondo and Pendle. Ondo is obviously also rated a lot. Ondo's RWA protocol, and then Pendle is obviously a yield trading protocol. So those are mine in the ETH beta section. And then in terms of potential altcoins that could rally in because there's optimism potentially of them getting an ETF, which I think is less likely. I think it's quite some time from that, and I've talked about that in the Ethereum in the video I did the other day. But I think obviously the big one is focusing on Sol. Could Sol get an ETF?
Exciting.
It's exciting,
Exciting.
And I think that there's a lot of institutional demand for Sol.
Yeah, so Kathy Wood was actually speaking to Peter McCormack on stage at Consensus this week, and she was saying, when asked if there were any other ETFs on the horizon, she said maybe Solana, maybe.
She also was shilling it back in December of last year.
She's a Solana bull,
Yeah, she's a Solana bull, yeah. Kathy's shilling it on CNBC, along with Brian Kelly, who's an old CNBC. He was the guy who used to shill XRP back in 2017. He was shilling XRP at the all-time high on CNBC, and he's left to do his own fund now as well, interestingly, so they had him back on. Yeah, I think Solana could be the one, but I think that it's very unlikely to be soon, and mainly because of the fact that they don't have regulated CME futures products, and without these products, the SEC can't conduct the information gathering, so they need to be able to assess the data, they need to assess the pricing demand, the pricing dynamics. And they recently, just yesterday, the CME came out and said, we have no plans to list a Solana Solana future product, or Sol futures product, which is unfortunate because that's an important precursor. So I think could potentially, and there's also things may change. FIT 21, all these bills, regulations could make it more speed run potential altcoin ETFs. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Would you be tempted to go more into ETH now that there is the approval, or do you think markets have already factored in with that beautiful green god candle that we saw?
I think a lot of the pricing is in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the pricing is in right now. So I think that I'd be still inclined to hold. I hold a lot of ETH.
Yeah.
It's my second biggest stack after Bitcoin.
Yeah. Same.
So I'm naturally bullish on it, but I don't think that we're going to see as much demand. I don't think, like, we come back to the ETF point to it. It could be sentiment, right? Sentiment could drive it positive right now, but it's already started to retrace. But we've fallen. Did we go close to the 4K level
Yeah, just flirted with it and came back down.
Yeah.
I have a chart that I'm going to add in here as well from sentiment.net, and they are showing ETH social dominance, so social sentiment, people tweeting about ETH, articles, people talking about it, and then also the correlation between that and the transaction volume. And transaction volume is, like you can see here, it's a red line.
Yeah.
Transaction volume is so low, and then social volume is so high. So there's a big divergence between the two, which would make me a little bit worried about investing in more ETH. But similar to you, ETH is my second biggest bag.
Cool. Next question.
I was expecting more from you there. I was ready to be like...
I don't know, it's going to mess up the sound. Our editor will be very, very angry because it's basically... cool. So another obligatory Dubai question. So this is from G. Aki, and he is asking, how integrated is crypto in Dubai? Can you actually do anything with it there?
So I think we did a TikTok on this a while ago, and there is big purchases you can make in Dubai. So for example, if you want to buy a property outright, you can do that with crypto. If you want to buy a car outright, if you want to rent a boat for a week or something, but they're like pretty big dog purchases. I think it's interesting that from small kind of day-to-day transactions, it's not as crypto native as one would expect. And actually, when I first moved to Dubai in 2021, I was viewing some apartments with a realtor, and I asked him, can I pay in crypto for my yearly lease? Because in Dubai, if you're unfamiliar, you normally do checks in you pay one whole year rent up front. And I asked him if I could pay in crypto, and he said, and this was made me bullish AF on Dubai in general, he was like, you are the third woman today that has asked to pay for their apartment in crypto. And I thought, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So I think Dubai as a place for small day-to-day transactions may not be so crypto native, but the people here are super crypto native. And I think it's interesting because I was comparing it before living in Dubai. I lived in Malta, and Malta, you could go to restaurants. So shout out Caviar and Bull in Malta, which is a steak and seafood place. They've been accepting Bitcoin since 2016. And I actually used to pay for my dinners there. We used to have a lot of crypto networking events in 2018, and you could pay in crypto, which was very cool. So there has been different occasions around the world of paying in crypto, but I would say in Dubai, there is not so much smaller day-to-day crypto payments. But if you want to buy a property, super easy to do just with your crypto.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that as pro-crypto as Dubai is with regulations like VARA and all that kind of stuff, there is not not too many merchants around, smaller merchants except crypto. And I think banks are still very, very skeptical.
Yeah.
Not skeptical, but they're worried. I mean, obviously there was the question around FATF. Right? Dubai just came with a FATF grey list 2 months ago. So banks are very wary of anything to do with crypto in general. But I think that bigger purchases like properties, I think because either the owner of the property or their development company, they're happy, they've got a fiat off ramp and they feel comfortable to do that. Yeah. That's true. Same thing with cars, right? People would feel comfortable there, and it's a big purchase, and and a lot of these guys are coming here. They're crypto natives, or they're people who've come from places and it's hard for them to get their money out, right?
Yeah.
So they, mainland China, Eastern Europe or whatnot, Russia, if they're trying to get crypto in, it's a lot easier because you can just sell and buy fiat, Tether or whatnot. So there's a lot of demand from that perspective as well. Because of difficulties of just moving a lot of money into Dubai. Sometimes it is difficult, especially having tried to do it myself. And moving money out is also just as difficult. So it facilitates that on the bigger purchaser side. But in terms of broader adoption, where you can just go to a cafe and tap with crypto, I haven't actually seen, as far as the places I've been, I haven't seen any place that accepts crypto for cafe, coffee, restaurants.
And I think there is very few places that do accept crypto that then if you try to actually pay in crypto, the person on the cashier desk at that moment in time, unless you are the restaurant owner, knows how to process that transaction. Yeah. I've had it many times before across Thailand, different places in Europe. If I see a Bitcoin cafe, best believe I will go to it. I love that kind of stuff. I will talk to you and annoy you for 3 hours. But a lot of the times, if the restaurant owner is there, they'll be able to process the transaction. But at the shop assistants actually don't know how to do it and look at you absolutely terrified, can you just pay in cash, please?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So there's a bit of training that needs to be required as well.
Yeah.
It's a good novelty, I think. But it's...
Have you ever gone to a Bitcoin cafe or a Bitcoin restaurant?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've ever been to one. No, no. I've used a Bitcoin ATM once.
Okay.
That was in Toronto, but that was like the extent of my experience with like. I can't recall there were any really that had Bitcoin accepted. I don't know, even in the UK. I mean, there probably are lots, but you have to go and find it. Let's just put it that way. It's not that something that you usually come out in your daily.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And then also you're like, right now, do you really want to spend $50 on a dinner or $200 on a dinner and then knowing it could be
more
exactly.
Later? The opportunity cost of whole that, yeah.
Okay, Augustine and Sarah. This adds such a nice element, I have to say.
Yeah.
Augustine and Sarah, shout out to you because I know you send in great questions every week and I feel like we need to thank you a little bit extra. With the new BTC staking services popping up, will BTC ETF issuers be able to use this service?
Yeah. So he's probably talking like these Bitcoin staking L2s, like of Babylon, etc. So basically the concept of using your Bitcoin and staking it and then earning yield and using your Bitcoin to secure other networks. So I don't think this is going to likely anytime soon for a number of reasons. I think firstly because these are still experimental. They haven't really launched yet. Like Babylon hasn't hit its mainnet yet, and it's a concept, and it's obviously there's a lot of risks that come with this that people don't know. Massive risks. So then that's the one thing. There's the risks, and then also these ETF these issuers have to store and custody their crypto with strong custody like Coinbase custody, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to go, at the moment you put it into a smart contract or any sort of other protocol which is exposed into potential risk, that's not something that's even legal. So that's another thing. And then also the question around whether the SEC will care about that at all, or have issues with that, and they probably will because they don't want staking components within the ETH products.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't think it's likely at all that they'll do that.
You've just taken all my points. I've got nothing else to say because I said the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, but Babylon itself, it's an interesting project for sure. I mean, we've talked, we had them in the Discord AMA, very smart team. They just raised, was it 70 million?
I think it's kind of good to leave all the BTC staking for us because the clunkiness of trying to navigate from the spot Bitcoin ETF issuers to the custodians like Coinbase, then to staking is a little bit tricky. Although, as Larry Fink has said with the tokenize everything quote, if it is more of a regulatory friendly environment and if they would be able to, I'm sure BlackRock would look into it with the ability to offer clients a little bit more just to really dominate the market in that regard. So
I guess, look, there's a difference. I mean, if it's like, not for the current Bitcoin products, but if the regulatory environment does evolve and they want to launch a new fund, for instance, and the fund explicitly states it's not, you're not just getting exposure to Bitcoin, but it's a fund that invests in this more risky Bitcoin restaking. Because they're obviously traditional finance, they're funds that invest in alternative asset classes and risky asset classes, right? And you know that there's going to be a risk of a downside loss here. Although the problem is, I mean, if you invest in an alternative asset class, I don't know, let's assume commodities, right? You know, it's very unlikely that copper is going to go to zero. But in some of these products, you have a tail risk when it comes to you know this kind of stuff that it's get down to zero. So it's going to be very difficult for them to get used to it or accept it. But there is an outcome in the world in which a large institutional issuer decides to issue shares for a more risky asset, which is restake Bitcoin. But right now, or stake Bitcoin.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, like Van Eck has pointed out that Babylon and also like the larger narrative of Bitcoin staking is one to watch for this year. So it might be that in a few years' time, this is something that the larger, like more TradFi guys just see as something that's very lucrative indeed to get involved in.
Cool. Next question. This is from TK98. And he's asking, in this cycle, apart from memes, RWA, and AI, what narratives are you keeping an eye on?
Okay, so I have two other narratives apart from the ones that I'll mention. So in my portfolio, if you guys have seen from the Coin Bureau Club, I have two deep in plays that I have invested in and added to my portfolio, which is World Mobile, which is the telecommunications on the blockchain, and then also Honey Hive Mapper, which is the kind of Google Maps, but a decentralized version on Solana. So Deepin is a huge play, I think, we've spoke about this a lot on Q&As, how it's just a very interesting narrative and one to watch. We have had the likes of Peak, another deep in play that has gone live recently on mainnet, come on the Coin Bureau Discord AMA, and we are speaking to a lot of projects. World Mobile also came on the Discord AMA, and I think this is just a really interesting narrative when you look at the top performers. Meme coins were the top performing narrative of this year, but after that it was Deepin. And I think Deepin is something which, for people that are looking to get into crypto and not crypto native, it's a really tangible use case. You know, we were talking about explaining the ETFs to new issuers and people that are institutional investors. If you're explaining Deepin to someone that's non-crypto, they can get it a lot faster than they can get liquid restaking, you know? So I just think, for me, if we're looking at the next wave of retail that don't want to go as all in on meme coins, Deepin is a play to go. And then also restaking. So we had on 2 weeks ago the Picasso team on for a Discord AMA. And I think you've met the Picasso team as well, right?
Yeah, through Twitter DMs, not really in person. Yeah.
So I met them at a Solana hacker house in April in Dubai, and then they came on a Discord AMA. And actually, after the conversation, they came on the Discord AMA with Coin Bureau the day they'd gone live with their restaking available on Solana. So it's through IBC connection on Solana, and also cross-chain transactions between Solana and other IBC-enabled chains, so like Ethereum, Cosmos SDK, Polkadot, and Kusama. Really interesting. And actually, after the AMA, I decided to add some Picasso to my list. So I've got some Picasso in my portfolio too.
Picasso, what's the ticker?
Pika.
Pika,
like Pikachu.
Pika.
Yes, exactly.
How's it perform? How's Pika perform?
It's been pretty level at the moment. Markets haven't been moving so much, so it's pretty still, but I think it's a nice one. I think the restaking trend is really dominant right now on Ethereum, and the fact that it's restaking on Solana, and Solana is my third biggest portfolio holding, so I just wanted to have a little bit of an allocation and exposure to that too.
Right. Good, yeah, definitely. So that's good picks. Deepin, 100% also think is a top tier narrative, mainly because of the fact, obviously, it's one of the few crypto use cases that can really onboard a lot of users because it's actual physical stuff that's interacting with the blockchain. Another narrative that I'm quite bullish on, I've talked about a few times, we just mentioned one of them, it's Bitcoin L2s. Obviously, this new Bitcoin renaissance where you can utilize the Bitcoin network for more than just sending funds, where you can actually build things on top of it. It's needed because obviously you want to sustain the length and longevity of the Bitcoin network, you have to create demand in the fee market, and this is what we get from Bitcoin L2s and layer 2s. And it's also the biggest and most secure network in the world, the Bitcoin network, so you want to leverage that. And there's a lot of exciting projects that have launched in the Bitcoin L2 space. Just talked about Babylon, but there's also Botanix and Bob built on Bitcoin. So, I think that this is really exciting. Obviously, the Stacks and some of the older ones as well. But I think that as we progress and as Bitcoin progresses towards its limit and the block rewards go towards zero, there's going to be a need for a new demand to utilize the Bitcoin network and also add value to it, right? Because my biggest part of the portfolio, biggest portion of my portfolio is Bitcoin, and L2s add value. They're additive to that, and they add more use cases for Bitcoin, so that obviously increases the value. So, yeah, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin L2s. Yeah.
Good one. So, next question. Oh, the hammer. Okay, Tias Konstantinos. Opinion on L2s on Solana and why?
Yeah, I don't think we answered this some time back as well, but I don't think there's a need for L2s in Solana. But I don't know if there's any projects even building L2s in Solana. And I think this is because the whole MO of Solana is to be a very scalable, fast, performant, monolithic L1 blockchain.
Yes.
And obviously they've got upgrades coming, like Fire Dancer, for example, that are going to take that to the next level. The TPS is off the roof to the sky. And it's not, that's just the current state of play. But it's not just, there's also the founder himself. And Anatoli's mentioned this many times. He's talked about L2s, and he doesn't think it's a good use cases, especially in terms of Solana, and there's risks with it, right? Because Solana, he wants to be like, and he said, quote, he wants Solana to synchronize a global atomic state machine faster than the laws of physics will allow. So here we go. So he's really bullish on this. this large monolithic blockchain. And these layer 2 side chains and data availability and zero knowledge, they amount to the same thing, right? They don't add a lot of, they're not additive to this global atomic state machine.
Yeah.
And also L2s, they do other, they're not, they fragment user base, right? So think about Ethereum, right? If you're on all these different L2s now, you come across to another L2, bridging across from, I don't know, Polygon to OP, Arbitrum. It's like, it's not a quick and easy, it takes quite some time. Quite costly in terms of fees. And it's, and in terms of Solana, he's also said that there's a massive compostability and UX user sync issues with L2s. And also if you want information synchrony around the world in all these different places, you need it all on a strong centralized and a strong L1. So yeah, I think that there's just no need for any sort of L2s on Solana. At least now. There's no congestion. The issues that they have are just too much spam because of drop transactions. But these updates they've done, they could improve that.
I mean, there have been some outages. The last outages on Solana, I think, was February 2024. But before that, I think it was like a year.
Almost a year. They almost
got a whole year, guys.
Almost a year.
So it is a completely different beast to Ethereum when it comes to, like, Ethereum needed it for scalability, and Solana necessarily not the case, but Firedance will be an interesting one to see. Cool.
Next question. Is this me asking? Yeah. It's asking.
The excitement just seems over now. I thought you'd be like, woohoo, but
No, I'm trying to, so Roman93 asks, to continue DCA as prices rise or pause for now and buy into an altcoin to take profits?
Buy into an altcoin to take profit. So Roman, I'm going to give you a little bit of a learn from my own mistakes on previous market cycles, because I think the options that you have here, it's like, okay, look at the prices now. You can go on Twitter and you can see that some people are making extremely high figures on pretty risky plays and going all in because the market is kind of at that stage where things are starting to get interesting and people are definitely paying attention. There is gains to be made, but I would say don't lose sight of your strategy. If you have been DCAing over a long period of time, don't then change that strategy to go all in on specific altcoins that could potentially perform well, because also they could potentially not perform so well. I, for example, as a little fun fact, have tried dabbling in a few meme coins and spent a few Solana over the last few weeks. And some have been okay plays, some have been good plays, and some have been completely rugged meme coins.
So you went all in on Jenna and Iggy.
You know what I did? I did try my hand at Iggy Azalea's mother.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. And then I just sold maybe like the next day for a break even because I was like, okay, I don't trust it. Religious meme coins. I tried dabbling on religious meme coins a few weeks ago. I know that was a little bit of a risky one. And for me, I just think keep your strategy in play. So, DCAing over a consistent period of time is just going to be such a better long bet. If you do hold Bitcoin over a 3 to 5 year period, that outperforms a lot of other market plays. So I would say don't lose sight and just buy into a specific altcoin with the expectation of taking profits, because you might not make them and you might lose sight.
Yeah, totally agree. Well summarized. I think, the whole idea of a DCA strategy is just to programmatically take out and extract the emotional component and just buy into Bitcoin over a long period of time. And have your average price still being lower than when you do sell out later or do DCA out later. And by doing this, trying to time to buy into an altcoin or any sort of altcoin, you defeating the purpose of that strategy. So I wouldn't do that now. Keep the strategy going, keep programmatically buying the Bitcoin and the DCA. And if you do have a bit of extra money left and you want to think about more strategic allocation to altcoins, that's fair. But don't stop your DCA if that is your strategy for the longer term.
And speaking of strategy, it kind of goes into the next one, which is James XX90. Can you make money leverage trading? So Nick, can you make money?
Do you leverage trade? Have you leverage trade?
No.
Ever?
Okay, I tried 2018 because Brad Garlinghouse was speaking on CNBC with the CEO of Coinbase. Brian Armstrong. And I was convinced that meant Ripple was going to get listed. Ripple had an absolute tear in 2017. And I lost most of my gains from 2017. So
was that from a leverage trade?
No, that was just from trading in general.
Okay, yeah. So
stay away from leverage trading. For me personally, I'm not a trader. It's a skill.
Yeah. So can you make money leverage trading? Yes. Do you have to take considerable risk to do it? Yes. First of all, if you can't make money spot trading, you know, you're going to struggle to make money leverage trading. You're just going to increase your losses if you can't make money. So you're going to increase your losses. Yes, you can short with leverage, but you know, you can also short just 1x on the margin. What I will say though is, so I would think firstly, if you're going to do any sort of leverage trading, make sure you've got I would just trade spot. If you're first and you're new in the market, don't trade leverage. You don't need to use leverage. However, if you're a very professional trader and you've been trading for quite some time and you've got a strategy and it's worked in the spot markets and you've fully comfortable with your risk management and and also I will say it's like there's a lot of perception out there that leverage trading and trading like is easy, right? And created potentially by people on Twitter, on Instagram, etc. It's not easy. You have to focus on it a lot of the time. Trading is can be a full-time job. You have to focus on the leverage, to focus on how the market changes. And in crypto, the market moves way faster than anything. If you were just a forex trader or an equity trader, you're trying to trade in crypto. Things move 24/7, 365. The market's fully,
Yeah,
so
and also, I used to be a Forex journalist. You have an economic calendar. You know what data is coming out on what day, so you can also keep that in mind. Yeah. With crypto, as you said, 24/7, but there are so many social sentiment catalysts that no one could ever predict. Exactly. And outages, these things that are just no one has a future ball to be able to indicate.
You can never know what's going to go on in the early Asian hours and the Korean degen whales just dumping or whatever, you never know. So, but if you really want to progress into that land and you want to try leverage trading, start with a paper trading account demo. Try it out, have it an implemented strategy you use in the spot markets, and see how it goes for you and do it over an extended period of time. And that's the first thing you could do. And then secondly, if you do want to progress to the stage of actually putting real money at risk, then you can trade with, there's no reason to go over 10 or 15x leverage. Like this concept, I don't even know if there's who still trades at 100x. I don't know why anyone would trade with 100x leverage. It's just pointless because it's the margin for error there is so small. So because you're just getting taken out with a small bit of the wick. So yeah, I would 10 to 15x leverage max. And then I think in terms of obviously the most important, and this should probably come before anything, you're probably doing it in the spot markets as well, is use stop losses and take profit levels. Obviously, this is going to be built into your strategy when you're targeting the specific levels, but always implement these because they take out the emotional component, especially in the stop loss side. Because if you set a stop and you're going to lose X amount, set that and stick to it. But don't. I've seen a lot of people do, especially the noobs when they first start trading, is they set a stop loss and then they're making a loss.
Yeah.
And they think, I think it can recover. I think it can recover. Let me adjust the stop or whatnot. And then it doesn't, and you get even lose more than you wanted. So yeah, I think that there's a lot. It's fraught. You have to be quite professional to do it. You have to be doing it full time, and you have to spend the time to do your own research. It's one of these things where it's sold as a quick way to make gains, but take more risk.
Absolutely.
Cool. Now, time for the final one. Boom.
Ring
the final
dinger.
one. The most important of them all.
Didn't you submit this question?
Yeah, this Nick Crypto guy. I submitted this question because I had a very good question for Jess, because I'm really curious, because it's been bugging me for quite some time. It's been on my mind.
It's been keeping him up at night,
It's been keeping me up, and I just had to get it. And I know Jess is obviously also, she used to be a DJ. That was when she started, right? So she's a hip hop head, so she knows about this stuff.
Yeah, right? my first presenting job was for a hip hop and reggae radio station, so you don't know, get to know.
So yeah, I need to get this question through to Jess. And I knew the best way to do it is through a Q&A, of course. So it's who would win in a rap battle between Cousin Barry and Kendrick Lamar?
Okay, I love this question. So Cousin Barry has done a few raps. For those that don't know, Kendrick Lamar has been in a social media storm at the moment because he's been in a little bit of a beef battle one-on-one with Drake.
You mean he bodied Drake?
Yeah, Nick's taking no prisoners with BBL Drizzy. So there was a little bit of an interesting outcome on Twitter. It was half crypto and then half of the hip hop rap feud with Kendrick Lamar. And to be fair, his diss tracks were absolutely fantastic. Okay. Euphoria was my personal favorite. You liked the other one?
Not Like Us. That was really good. But that's because the beat on Not Like Us was also really good, because the producer, DJ Mustard, came out with some really good beats.
DJ Mustard came out with the beats. Cousin Barry doesn't yet have if DJ Mustard, he was doing the beat. for the rap battle. Kendrick's there, Cousin Barry's there. Cousin Barry's from East London. I think he'd come up with some pretty good disses.
He's Barkin's baddest, man.
Yeah.
He's Barkin's baddest.
He's got some pretty serious rings in. I think he would come with a little bit of all the gear. You know, he dominates the stage. He's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
I think he would win over the crowd, but I think from the lyrical mastery, Kendrick would win.
So you think that the crowd is going to support in Barry just because he's from man of the people?
At the very beginning, I think Barry's going to win the crowd, but then I think over time, Kendrick might sway it.
Kendrick's got the whole of, Southside LA on his side.
Yeah,
right?
it also depends where it's going to be.
Not,
in my head, it was going to be in a pub in Clapham, so that was why it was inevitable that Barry
So he's going to come on. He's going to come on the ops territory.
Yeah, he's going to come. It's like home or away. It's like your tip or mine.
Oh man, yeah, that would be amazing to see that.
Maybe we can mock up a little. I don't know.
Oh, what, like a little... well, we could try and fly Kendrick out.
I could be Iggy Azalea, you could be Eminem.
You reached out to the Bitwise guy. Why don't you just reach out to Kendrick's producer?
And be like, hey guys.
And be like, guys, we've got a rap battle. I know you beat Drizzy, but we've got a rap battle. This is the one, this is the guy that this will be the pinnacle of your career if you can beat Cousin Barry in a rap battle.
You know what? I've done weirder things. I will send a DM and see what happens. And we'll let you know. Who do you think would win?
I mean...
With Team Kendrick.
I think Kendrick, man, he's lyrical master. You know, he's a lyricist. I mean, he's great. Like, if you think about also the fact he doesn't use ghostwriters and this kind of stuff, whereas, you know, I don't know about Cousin Barry.
Whereas Cousin Barry, no. Cousin Barry would never.
Yeah.
We were thinking though, we were like, it has been a while since we have played the Keep Going Higher.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. If Cousin Barry's going to be doing, and he's got, sorry, it wasn't DJ Master, Metro Boomin. So it's like, if Kendrick's got the best producers on his side for the songs, the beats, we're going to need a DJ. DJ Jessica needs to step in and head up that Cousin Barry's beats in the background, because you can't get a pop without good beats in the background for hip hop, right?
You can, it's true. You have to come and deliver it.
Yeah. So then we got DJ Jessica's production, which is Cousin Barry's Keep Going Higher.
Amazing. I think we should add in the little video that we added in last time for Keeps Going Higher. I'm trying to find it on my laptop, but I can't find it.
Okay, cool. Well, anyways, guys, thanks a lot for these questions you sent in. Obviously, we love going through them, of course. You know, if you want to ask them, what you got to do, down below, check out our Instagram, and we will obviously send out the questions every week.
Yes, ask away. Thanks, guys.
It's been fun, Jess. Enjoy. Cheers, guys.
Keep going higher. Keep going higher. Keep going higher. Keep going higher. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going higher.